What's going on? Welcome everybody. I'm Legionnaire. Welcome to another video. And this one we're talking about Oblivion Remastered. It's been out for a little while now, about 4 or 5 days. Not too long, but enough for a lot of people to get their hands on it, including myself. And I've been playing it for at least 20-25 hours, and I love it. So let's talk. All right, Oblivion Remastered. How is it? What's the big changes in Oblivion? I know this has been done to death on YouTube, but we are going to talk about it either way because I love Oblivion. So, here's the short of it. It is the same game with an Unreal Engine polish on top and some minor improvements to the game. So everything's still the same. You start off in the prison, you make your character, talk to the Emperor, calls you the Chosen One, whatnot. Patrick Stewart himself, Jean-Luc Picard, Xavier still has good voice. I don't know if they brought him back to do these voices again. I kind of doubt it because he still sounds kind of like younger Patrick Stewart, you know, as young as he was back in 2005 or 6 whenever he recorded these lines. But you go through the prison, you go through the underground, same as it was before. And man, all right, so biggest, of course, is the way it looks. Everything looks incredible. I mean, this game blow you away with how good it looks. It looks amazing. Everything has been retouched more than you realize when you first look at it. If you take a second glance at some of the changes they made graphically, they really added a lot more than just paint over what was there. They added new structures, new symbols, new gates, new everything. It's all new textures, of course, but they didn't just remake the old textures. They added new things. For example, one of the first examples you can see is when you get to the end of the sewers at the tutorial, the gate. What do you see when you look at the gate? In the original, it's just a gate, right? You go through it, you go and you leave. But this time they added the Skyrim logo to the gate. Now, it's not technically a Skyrim logo. That's just what we associate with the logo. The emblem itself is actually the seal of Akatosh, which is the great deity in this world. I believe. I could be technically wrong. So it's not really the logo for Skyrim. It's just what we associate with it. But seeing it here, it just makes me think of Skyrim. And I had this crazy thought of going to the gate and then you open it and it's just Skyrim Remastered. Again. But other than that, you can look at some of the structures in the new version of the game. And when you see comparisons, for example, Digital Foundry's recent comparison, you can really see some major differences in the architecture of the structures of the lands. The hills and everything, same. It's just what's on them that they made huge improvements to. Like, when you get out of the gate, there's this island across from you. Once you see the wooden bridge and everything, there's an island across from you. You could see the structure. That's another major comparison you can see they added to it instead of just remade the pillars that were already there. So they really did a lot of extra work to it. I'm curious to see what other places were really changed up from the original version of the game. But it's not really something major. You know, it's not something that's going to bother people. And I'm sure half the people out there haven't even noticed. But the attention to detail is still there. Everything is there. All the great quests, all the funny memes. It's awesome. Now, they also made changes to, like, balance in the game. They made some changes to, like, how quickly you can use spells, how quickly you can spam like healing, things like that. They really put a cap on it. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know 100%. But it feels like they definitely they definitely reworked the balance a bit of the game. So maybe you're not so OP early on. And I think that's okay. I think that's okay. It's not really a huge difference. Going through these lands, it's really like a new game, you know? It feels like a new game because it's you can only relate it to the original. And it's just a stark difference. It's the same game, same areas, just made fresh for everybody to go through, you know? And it's so fun going through and seeing like familiar characters that you knew and just seeing how different they look. They like some of the races, some of the races really changed in design from old to new. The biggest one being everybody pointing out the Khajiit. The Khajiit has had a massive overhaul. They look like freaking lions. Look like people are gonna probably RP Simba in this game. And that's pretty cool. I can't complain, you know. The Argonians, massive upgrades. You can make your Argonian look like a goddamn dragon. And of course you can make the greatest monstrosities you've ever seen. There's so many out there. Unfortunately, I'm a simple player. I like to do, you know, like a knight mage or a mage, and I like my normal playthrough, and then I do my wacky playthrough, my weird, dark, evil playthrough, right? So right now I'm still going through my normal playthrough. We've done a lot of story, but we've also done a lot of side questing, running around. And I've already started trying to get through to the Mages Guild. Yeah. So we're working our way for sure. But a lot of people, once they get out of that gate, they're just going to be like, Martin who? Septim Emperor who? I'm just a wandering traveler. I don't know anything about that. They're going to forget about that. The gates at Kavach, the Oblivion gates, is going to be just it's going to sit there forever for most people. And that's perfectly fine. There's so much to do in this game. Doing the main quest is really just a footnote, right? To cap off the game if you really wanted to. The Oblivion gates are basically the biggest part of this story. You need to be closing them. You work with Martin, one of the main characters of the game, who's played by Sean Bean. The man loves fantasy. I said it before. He loves fantasy, and I'm so glad that he's in this game. It just gives it some more authenticity, you know. And a lot of people who know Patrick Stewart is in the game don't even realize that Sean Bean is in the game, because most people just go off. They don't do the main story for like a while. Some people don't even meet Martin when they're playing this game. Who is the son of Patrick Stewart's character, Uriel Septim. He is like the forgotten son that nobody knew about, you know, the whole cliche. And basically the story is about you helping him get the Amulet of Kings and help him to light the fires to close the gates of Oblivion. That's the whole thing of the game. And it doesn't push it on you. And you basically, the way they set up the quests each time is that you can really kind of take your time after the beginning. And there's never any worry about going back to it if you don't want to, but I think there is really good stuff. They do use some of the game's mechanics in the story quests and the little things that they have you do, sneaking around. You need to, you know, get on board with this merchant, and you need to sneak in somebody's house to get this item, things like that. So it uses the game's mechanics, and they send you all around the lands to do these things, so you really get a good look. If you don't fast travel everywhere, which right away they give you the ability to fast travel, and that's great for people who just don't care about doing that. So if you don't like fast traveling, as soon as you get into the open world, you can go anywhere you need to, anywhere the marker is. Speaking of the marker in the remake remaster is pretty much the same, but they just added, you know, they just made, like, for example, the compass is a lot bigger. So you see a lot more. It's kind of more like Skyrim's. And the map is still the same, which classic map. I'm glad they didn't change it at all. The music in this game is incredible. It is stuff that you will probably, if you've never played this, it'll probably blow your mind. The music is such an ambiance. It adds so much to the game, to the immersion of the game. And ever since I played the original, I've had this in some of my fantasy rotations for music, including, things like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. And this, and, even Skyrim as well, you can lump this in. For fantasy music, it's top notch. Every moment you're going around the open world, most of the time there is some kind of good ambiance music in the background. When stuff goes down, the battle music kicks in, and it's funny. The original had this, and the remake kept it, where every time an enemy gets close to you, like the music just changes immediately, and it just brings in the battle music. And then as soon as the enemy dies and there's no more enemies around, it switches, like it just fades back into the open world music. They do that a lot better now in these modern games, but it's funny when you recognize it in games like this. But the music is just, I highly recommend you have some good sound going when you play through this game. I think there could have been some minor improvements made to certain things in quest lines. There's a lot of quest lines where NPCs have to travel from one point to another, and sometimes those NPCs can be blocked. Now, I get it, it's part of the jank, but I think some minor improvements to quest lines could have been that they could have, made sure that those quests still completed no matter what was in their obstacle, right? There's a lot of still convenience in this game, but there's some minor things like questing that really have its issues. A big issue that people have been dealing with is, not everybody, but people who are on the mid-rig and lower, and some people on consoles, have noticed there's some performance issues, right? There's some major issues. Like, for example, I played on PC, and I'm on a mid-rig, it's getting older. So I couldn't really stream it on that, so I had to go to the PS5 version, because I don't have a Series X at the moment. But I had to go to the PS5 version, and even on the PS5 version, it stutters a lot when I'm in the open world. Like, I'm walking and it just stutters like once, and then 15-20 seconds later it stutters again, and it's really jarring, really noticeable. I did play the PC version for a few hours just to test it out, and it didn't go great. On my rig, I got, I was getting like 45 frames in the open world, and I would get like 55 with FSR DLSS on, so it's still playable for me, completely playable, but for the stream it wasn't, so that's why I didn't do that. But it just has a few issues that need to be worked on, and I think they're going to work on them, so I don't think it's something that we have to worry about too much. It is something to take into consideration, even on console version, the frame stutter. And in the original, it wasn't perfect either. The original version it would dip in frames all the time. Bethesda games are kind of like that. They barely make the world work. They have to like duct tape everything together because there's so many moving pieces, and I get that. But games have come a long way in making their open world seamless, right? From like Witcher 3 and on, games have been able to do huge crowds, open worlds, things like that. So I hope that they, get some patches going to make sure. They already released the patch. I don't know what they updated in the patch, but they released one. So I'm hoping they fix a lot of those like frame issues, and maybe one day I can return to the PC version and it'll work a lot better for me on this mid rig. Ideally, I will get a better rig eventually, just not right now or anytime soon. The quest lines are still fun to go through. There's so many random quests you can do in this game. I highly recommend not doing the main quest for a while and just going into a city and just talking to most of the people that walk by you. Aside from the guards, they give you rumors. Every character gives you rumors as to the main big side quests in that city. They always tell you something like the Anvil church that was desecrated, the prophets. They all tell you go see the prophet. But every city has fun quest lines to do that I highly recommend doing. I love doing the guilds. The guilds are definitely a huge part of this game. I highly recommend you choose a guild. Like if you're RPing, choose the guild that makes sense. There's 2 main guilds, and then there's other guilds that you can join. There's mainly 3 guilds. There's the Fighters Guild, the Mages Guild, and the Thieves Guild. You can join the Fighters Guild and the Mages Guild easily. The Thieves Guild, you have to do a little more to get invited to. You have to actually do some stealing, things like that. You have to be a really good thief for them to notice you and to come up to you randomly and be like, to do this, meet me here at this time, blah blah blah. They also have the arena. The arena is a massive part of the main city in Tamriel. In Cyrodiil, sorry, in Cyrodiil, the main Emperor city, there in the center. The arena you can join and you can do, oh my god, it's so fun. You can do so many fights in the arena and you can become the champion. It's highly worth doing. I highly recommend it. And the last one's the Dark Brotherhood. You can actually join the Dark Brotherhood, which is a secret guild, and they come to you in secret, and it is a guild for those who are like evil masochists who love to just kill everybody and stuff, and it's like an assassination guild, and it's so cool to join. So I highly recommend, if you want to choose one of these like 4 or 5 guilds, if you're RPing, it's definitely worth it. Right now I'm doing the mage kind of with a sword RP, which is, a lot of people do that. A lot of people do that in this game. So don't be afraid to try different ways to play, you know, because there's so many different ways you can play in this game, and it's highly worth experimenting with, because you can basically create your own custom class. You know, it's not exactly like Skyrim where you just do whatever you want and you level up that thing. It still does that, but it's based off the points you have. So like when you level up, you can only put points towards certain, like all the attributes that you have in the game. It's not the same as Skyrim where things just level up on their own and you only need to put points in a few different things. And there's no talent trees or anything like that, which is from Skyrim. This is just straight up RPG, point based. When you do stuff, you do level up your acrobatics, your thieving, your security. But when you level up, you got to put, there's like 8 points or 10 points that you get to put in 3 different classes. Now I'm curious if the original game had this limit. When you level up, you can only put stuff into like 3 different, you know, skills, like strength, you know, arcane things, like intelligence. And I don't know if they did that in the original. I would be curious, because maybe it kind of limits people, right? Because you can't just put all your points into one. So the enemies still scale with you. They still scale with your level mostly, but they kind of hit a little area level cap. Like if you're going through an area that's a bit more, you know, early area, you're not gonna run into, you know, level 1 goblins that are now destroying you, or not destroying you, but on your level at level 30. You're gonna demolish them. So it's more based on the area, you know, like if you go to a really far area of the map and you see like a bunch of Daedra and high level enemies, they'll scale with you so that you're not so outdone so early on. They won't be, you know, super OP, but if you're high level, they will rise to meet those levels with you until a certain point, pretty much. But man, I have been having a blast playing this. I put so much time into it, and I want to put more time, but I needed to, you know, get some stuff done, get some school done, so we didn't get to play as much as I wanted to the last few days. We put about 25 hours so far, and I'm gonna put even more. I'm thinking hundreds eventually, because I played the Oblivion game way back when it came out. Not when it came out. I played it a year later. So my Oblivion story is, everybody has their own, and mine's is, I got a 360 in 07 for my birthday. My mom got it for me. Shout out to the mom. And love you. And she got me a 360 for my birthday with Halo 3, and it came with the Forza Indiana Jones bundle. So I still have memories of opening it and things like that. And of course, my birthday is in October. So a few months later, Christmas comes, and, you know, I got the 360 already, so I'm not really, you know, trying to expect too much. And she told me, you know, I could pick out some games from the catalog. I remember she gave me the newspaper, and I looked at it, and I saw pictures of Oblivion. I saw pictures of Call of Duty 4 and a bunch of other stuff. So I told her, I said, here's some of the games that are on sale that are going to be, that I would love. And Oblivion was one of them. And Call of Duty 4 was another one that was not on sale, but I wanted to play Call of Duty because everybody was talking about it at school. I was a teenager at the time. So Christmas, I got Oblivion, and I remember opening that sucker, and I was so excited to start playing it. It was so crazy. Now, of course, the first thing I did that Christmas, I remember, I was able to finally go online on the 360. So I did that immediately, and I connected with other people, family members that told me to, add them. And then I played a lot of Call of Duty 4 with them. But after Christmas Day, it was all about Oblivion for a while. Like, when I'm not playing Call of Duty or Halo, it was Oblivion. And I did so many different playthroughs. I RP'd as like Gandalf. I did like an Aragorn playthrough. Huge Lord of the Rings nerd, by the way. And I just made so many weird characters. I did like a Godzilla Argonian, where I would just go around and just like fire blast everybody. I couldn't do it out of the mouth, but I did the hand one. You can do so many different like characters in this game. So, guys, that's my thoughts on Oblivion Remastered. I wanted to talk about it a bit. I want to see what you guys think of the Oblivion Remastered. I'm going to be playing it a lot more, and I hope you guys are too. Let me know what you think of the Oblivion Remastered. Did you play the original? What's your Oblivion story? Let me know down below. Guys, thanks for watching. Have a good day.